Welcome, dear listener, to Wiggly Podcast 70. Any tring-trings that you may hear are because I'm not sat on the Wiggly sofa. I'm in the Wiggly office with my Wiggly cowboy hat on. Anyway, the thing is that today is Chinese Christmas. If they have one, I don't know. I know there's some Chinese listeners out there. Well, happy Christmas to you all. And I know it's Chinese Christmas today because next week it's the Chinese New Year. See? On the ball, eh? On the ball. Now, the others aren't here. Richard has gone off to London. Farmer Phil has gone off to the cows. So it's just me. So while the cat's away, as it were, just like to share with you a little bit of feedback about the cats. And it's from Simon Sherlock. And he says, the thing is, I've started it off. I've got to finish it. Go to my blog, wigglyWigglers.blogspot.com, and he's given lots of handy hints for cat owners and bird lovers to live side by side in harmony. And Richard and I have made up and kissed. No, we haven't kissed, but we have made up. Farmer Phil and I have kissed, of course, but not that often. Anyway, moving on. This is from Christmas Day at Wiggly Wigglers in the cowshed. Farmer Phil checks his cows out.
Well, here we are in the cattle yard, Christmas morning. Happy Christmas to everyone.
Merry Christmas from me too. Yeah. Very unusual for me to be in the cattle yard.
It is very unusual, but we're on a late lunch today, aren't we? So we've earned ourselves a bit of time. But it's actually quite pleasant being in the cattle yard, I think, on Christmas morning, because for the cattle it's the time of year they're about a week away from starting calving in the new year. So they're all heavy in calf, and they've been inside long enough to be used to it and happy and sorted out the pecking order. So they're all quite quiet, except for this bunch, where there is a heifer who has decided that she's not in fact in calf, which has caused a little excitement.
Why?
Well, because she's bulling. And
she's whatting?
Bulling, which means she's in season, she's ready to be served, or she thinks she is.
She wants a bit of...
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And so they spend a lot of time chasing each other around the yard, riding each other and generally mucking about.
Really?
Yeah. It makes a hell of a mess, and you'll see that some cows are much keener on the idea than others. Others just don't take any notice, but some cows think it's a great excuse for a riot.
Oh, right, so sort of sexual antics in the...
Hot lesbo cow action in the cowshed.
Oh, Lord. Don't you think it's quite poignant, stood here?
In the cow byre with the oxen lowing.
Well, yeah, with the oxen standing by...
I thought it was quite pungent, actually, because this yard needs littering quite badly this morning.
Yeah, it is a bit mucky.
Well, again, this is because they've been ramping around the place, making a mess. When they're quiet, I mean, obviously we litter them most days, but this particular bunch have made a bit more of a mess than normal.
Yeah, because over there it's lovely, isn't
Absolutely, and that's because they're all quiet. But here you can see them all chasing each other around and pushing and shoving. And the one that's bulling, look, she's had the hair worn off the top of her tail.
Oh, yeah.
And that shows me that she's the one that's bulling, because it's not always obvious.
Oh, I see.
And I know that little heifer that we had a problem with last year, her calf was born dead, we don't quite know why, and she didn't get back in calf, and we don't entirely know why. Everything's correct and normal. But it's actually quite a good sign that she's bulling. That indicates that she's cycling and all the hormones are working right, so that with a bit of luck she'll get in calf this spring and get back into sequence.
Shall we meander through and find a couple of your favourites?
We can do.
Just on the subject of poo, do they just do it then, anywhere?
Oh yes, most cows, when a cow has to go, a cow goes.
Because lots of animals have a loo, don't they? Like a badger has a latrine.
Well, cattle are funny, they're more individual in terms of how clean they are where they lie. So that if you look at these cows, you'll see that some are dirtier than others. And they're all fairly clean, but the dirty ones are the ones that really don't mind. They just sit down wherever they think. And you have to bear in mind that, unlike us, they're used to lying on damp ground, so that dampness doesn't bother them. And so some of them, obviously, in some ways, warmth is more attractive to them, and the muck underneath our feet tends to get warm. We operate a deep litter system, which basically means we just keep putting clean straw in on top. and then muck the whole lot out and start again, as opposed to a lot of dairy farms work on the basis that you scrape the muck out every day and get the place clean.
And that one there seems to have some extra bits.
That's Adin.
Adin,
who is our latest young bull. He's actually thinking that life's quite hard at the moment because obviously the bulling heifer has received the benefit of his attentions, but he is being chased around as much as the heifer is because they're all very excited about it. Funny
so
thing,
he's
really.
had a go in the cowshed?
Almost certainly, yes.
And is that a good thing then?
Well, it will be because she's a cow that, for whatever reason, didn't get in calf. I'm prepared to put up with the fact that next year, if she's got in calf now, she'll be that bit early.
Right.
It doesn't matter. I won't have lost so much time.
Right.
But, to be fair, some farmers more rigid than I would say we'll not calve anything until a certain date, and after a certain date we'll stop calving, and anything that's not in calf by then we'll consider isn't going to be and might even send down the road. I'm afraid that we tend to be a little more relaxed than that, probably because we can afford to be, that if we have a calf that's a month older than it should be, it doesn't particularly bother us.
What's that over there?
A cow.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was some sort of lick, but it's not, is it?
No, they have all their vitamins and minerals in with their barley meal, which they've had already this morning, and that means that because they all eat the barley meal, we know that they've all had pretty much the required amount of their essentials, and then they have their grass seed straw, which is a bit like hay, ad lib, so they can have as much of that as they like, and then the barley straw that we litter them on, that is quite a good feed source as well as being quite absorbent, so they'll eat some of that as well as sit on it, and that gives them the roughage that they need to help them digest the hard food, the barley and sugar beet pulp that they get in their daily ration.
And are there any characters in here, Phil?
Oh yes, there are several characters in here. Interestingly, in this yard there are one or two of the pedigrees, and you'll see one or two of these brown cows. Number 12 there, she's a very quiet cow, but she's quite diffident. You'll never see her come to the fore, but she's one of the older cows, and she's a very good cow.
So she's a South Devon, is she?
She's a South Devon cross.
Here she comes.
She's not particularly tame, but she's just one of those cows that performs in the background absolutely superbly. Really good cow. And she's probably 14 or 15 years old, and as you can see, she's got a little bit of arthritis now. She's starting to show her age, but that'll ease up when she calves, so she's got less weight to carry around, and that'll get better. And here you've got a contrary cow who insists that despite all the water coming from the same place, she has to drink from the trough that she can only just reach with the end of her tongue, rather than her own trough.
That's very funny.
71 there, sadly she had a dead calf last year. That was born dead at birth, and so she's due to calve very soon now, so we'll be hoping that she does better. She's another good cow, it wasn't her fault. It was just one of those things, I think. Sometimes they're not put together right or whatever.
Right, we better get on because now we've got the turkey upside down, so we've got to turn that the right way up, and we've got to lay the table.
Righto, and shall I light the fire as well?
I think light the fire, Phil.
Once a year operation. I have actually cleared the ashes out.
Go for it.
Excellent.
It's not a once a year. It's once a year, actually, that you put the central heating on.
Oh well, same difference.
Now, you see, I was planning ahead with that and thinking that would be good for next Christmas, but Michael said, if we've got good material, we better get it out. Now, as you know, Robin Page stayed over all week, and I've been cooking squirrels since then in the slow cooker. And while they're not here, here's a Heather joke. Well, I have to amuse myself, don't I? What has a hazelnut in every bite? You're supposed to say, dunno, what has a hazelnut in every bite? And I reply, squirrel. Anyway, here we go. There's a report out on grey squirrels from the Game Conservancy Trust, so go and find out more about that at gct.org.uk. But until then, we welcome back to the sofa Robin to try out Rachel's cooking.
Okay. Hello, listener. We're lucky enough to have Robin Page still with us. Robin's the chairman of the Countryside Restoration Trust. Farmer, broadcaster, writer. I think primarily farmer. Would you agree?
Well, now apparently I'm not a podcaster. I'm a webcaster.
Right. Okay.
It's very exciting, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. It's extremely exciting.
Two podcasts and I become a webcaster. Gosh.
But what the most exciting point of today's little event is that we've got a real tasty treat in front of us that Rach, our lovely Rach and Heather, have combined to prepare for us.
Yes, it's taken me a week to cook these, hasn't it, Robin?
They smell great. Now it's a sumptuous little treat of squirrel.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see.
Can I tell you, it's the best looking grey squirrel I've ever seen.
It is. Yeah.
Squirrel burgers.
Squirrel burger.
Oh,
Here we go.
dropping in with relish.
What's in it apart from the squirrel? And what bits of the squirrel are in it?
Every single bit of meat
Yeah.
has been picked off the squirrel, which obviously there isn't that much meat on there, and chopped up into little bits. So all squirrel, that you can
I
eat.
mean, the obvious question is, does it include the squirrel's nuts? Or did he bury them before you killed him?
I'm not sure.
That's worth a thought. What do you think, though? I think these are really tasty, That was a fantastic little treat.
Are you...
Well, because I haven't eaten for 3 days.
It does look better than an ordinary burger, but the question I have to ask is, has Heather loaded it with herbs, or is this a genuinely nice burger? Would it have tasted like this if it was beef, mutton, cat or whatever? Because it is a nice burger.
There's no herbs in it except what I added to cook with, and I cooked it so it's onions and a few bits of carrot and some wholemeal breadcrumbs and squirrel, and that was how it was. And then this morning I fried it in a little bit of olive oil and butter and herbs. So
What are the herbs though? Herbs cover a multitude of things.
Well, they were all leaf farmer produced herbs actually. So a bit of basil, a bit of oregano, a little tiny bit of parsley, and that was it really.
I think the herbs are complementary, though. They're not overwhelming, are they? You can't taste herbs as such. I think the herbs have been tactically put in here just to draw the best out of the squirrel. And it is a nice flavour. For me, it tastes something slightly similar to a pheasant, perhaps a cross between sort of pheasant, rabbit, but it has a beefy texture, doesn't it?
I can't believe I'm enjoying it because
It
I
has
really wasn't looking forward to
a
this.
sweetness to it.
What is the jam?
Yeah.
Red currant, I think.
Is it? Doesn't taste like it to me.
Don't know what it is. Di gave it me, and I
You
thought,
see? Well, I do like the burger. I think it's genuine. I think we've got to encourage people to eat this. We've got to get burgers everywhere. It is very, very tasty. Did you put any fat in it? Because there is a story about burgers, and it's a true story about the beef burgers that people eat in large quantities, except me. And that is during farmers' demonstrations, they actually stopped a lorry coming in from Ireland, and it was full of cows' udders. And the truth is that some of this fast-growing beef that we have now from non-traditional beef varieties are so lean that they have to import fat to put in the burgers at some of our top burger chains, and they're importing cow udders from Germany via Ireland, a funny way of doing it, to provide the fat to hold the burger together.
Right.
And so people are actually eating udder burgers. And
pull the other one, Robin.
yeah, and no, it's true.
Good.
It is true.
Sorry, it
it's
is
true. And when you've eaten one, you say, "Can I have another udder burger, please?" and that is true. And
That's
so
awful.
I wouldn't eat a commercial burger for all the tea in China because I don't really want to eat udders.
Well, of
But
course,
this,
squirrel is
without-
lean, isn't it?
Squirrels don't have udders, and so
And the point is that everyone's cleaned their plate, and would you eat that again?
I would.
I think it was great, but Phil's been very quiet, and I know Phil was slightly dubious about this whole affair.
I was very sceptical to start with. Squirrels are rats with bushy tails, and my father has told me that for 40 years, so that's how I've been brought up.
Yeah.
But that was a very tasty burger, and it was real. It's got a slightly sweet taste, which I think is the squirrel. Some of the gamey meats have that sweet texture to them without being gamey, so it hasn't been hung for a month or anything like that. That, to me, was the difference between that and a beef burger. But it was meaty, there's no sawdust in it, there's definitely no German cow's udders in it. That's great. Yeah.
But Robin, why should we eat squirrel? Why is that a good thing?
No,
And we're talking about grey squirrel.
I think, you can see me. Fortunately, the people we're talking to can't, but all my teeth are dropping out. And so you've eaten the burger, I've sucked it. And it really is nice. The truth of the matter is that Britain is full of conservation crises, and one of the crises is the red squirrel. The red squirrel is disappearing at a rapid rate. The problem is the greys, and you also get a lot of squirrel huggers, and they actually defy science. They say that the advance of the grey has nothing to do with the demise of the red, which is nonsense. I know somebody who breeds red squirrels in captivity, and when the female red squirrels come on heat, the greys, males, appear. They can't crossbreed with the red, so that doesn't happen, but it breaks the heat of the female, it terrorises the male reds, and so they don't breed. They're stressed out, they're too stressed to breed. It would be like me meeting Madonna. I would be too stressed.
What a thought that is. It's going through my mind now.
And so there is a major problem there. And then there is this other problem, that the grey squirrel carries a pox virus. And this pox virus, and I saw it only 2 months ago in the Lake District, it is hideous. It is like a really bad case of myxomatosis in rabbits. The eyes swell up, the fur drops out, and it kills them. There's a small group in the Lake District, dedicated red squirrel lovers, and they're using a vet. He's giving his time completely free, and they're using a drug that was originally developed for humans, and it was thought to do a lot of good for humans, which it didn't, but it does a lot of good for squirrels, and it's called interferon. And this drug has actually saved several squirrels that people thought were going to die. The answer for saving the red squirrels is simple, and that is squirrel burgers. We do have to eliminate the greys from large sections of Britain where they're advancing, and DEFRA have got to take action. You have to have habitat management, and you have to have population management, because you can no longer get natural balances, and we have to limit populations so that our indigenous wildlife can survive. Nobody gives a damn now about killing mink because we want to get the water vole back.
I've seen red squirrels. I've seen red squirrels in Scotland. I've seen them on the Isle of Wight in France and whatnot. I mean, they are a stunning little creature, a beautiful little animal, and it's such a shame I haven't got them on the Wool-Oak Dome. But in many respects, people don't have much. They're living in an urban environment. They don't have much wildlife. So their perception of wildlife are those little grey squirrels, and it's difficult. If you look and see a grey squirrel with its tail curled up behind its back, it is a picture postcard. It's a relatively attractive animal. It does pale into insignificance when you compare it with a red, and it is a fact that greys have only been here for 130 years and reds have been here for 10,000 or more.
Isn't it really a failure on you? Because you're a journalist, aren't you?
No, it's a failure on the BBC.
Is it?
Yes. They don't show the real countryside, and they should actually put the real story out of what is happening. If you look at country programmes, all the people who are making the comments are town lovers. Yeah. Bill Oddie lives in the middle of London.
It is changing. I mean, I must admit, I did see a lot of Bill Oddie last night, I'm telling you. But having said that, things are changing. So who's a chap from Exmoor that did a fantastic show, Johnny
Kingdom.
Johnny Kingdom.
Yeah, About Time.
Top bloke, brilliant programme. We sat down, my Sarah said, this is fantastic, why can't we see this more often?
You know why I think it is? Because you country folk are all flipping moaners!
That's what it is.
Well, it may be that it's because there are very few country folk who are good broadcasters. I mean, when you think about it, Johnny Kingdom, Patrick Rixon's father, Philip, was a noted agricultural broadcaster, and Robin, there aren't many others who are proper farmers who are broadcasters.
Well, we'll leave it there. Fantastic. Right, now having eaten that squirrel burger, we must go to our chocolate rating because, Robin, you may not know this because you may not have tuned in before, but we rate things on the basis of chocolate, on the basis that chocolate is the best thing to rate life on. So, the worst possible rating that squirrel burger could have had is one which is Hershey's chocolate. Have you ever had that?
No thanks.
It's American. Oh, it's disgusting. Number 2 is Nestle. Well, that's already a problem. We know what Nestle do. Number 3 is Cadbury's. So that also encompasses green and black. So that's okay. And number 4 is, you're getting on to quality chocolate here, and that's Galaxy. But number 5, if that was the best thing that you've ever tasted, would be a Milka, which is the most delicious chocolate in the whole world. So, Rich, chocolate rating for the squirrel burger.
I'd say it was probably, for me, it was a Galaxy. It's very palatable.
Lovely. Farmer Phil.
I think in terms of burgers, that would be a Milka. I haven't tasted a better burger than that. That's a proper burger.
Wow. Robin?
Never a burger fan, I have to say, and so it would be a Cadbury's. But that is the ordinary burger that people eat at barbecues. That is a -1 for me normally. So to say Cadbury's is, for me,
Praise
good.
indeed.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Rachel will be chuffed.
And for me, I'll actually go with a Galaxy.
Right.
Because I was so dreading it.
Yeah.
It was a real high.
It's the thought. It's just sometimes difficult to overcome, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know,
So there we
the
are.
realisation of what you're eating.
Yeah.
Squirrel burgers are just fine.
Very good.
Okay, the burgers tasted really good. They did just have a little bit of an aftertaste, and I must say for me, they did keep reoccurring on regular occasions. Even several days later, I could still kind of taste them. So, well, you have to try these things. I would have them again. And I'm surprised to say that if I was really, really, really hungry, I might have them again. But certainly not if there was any Milka on offer. If it was just Hershey's and squirrel, I'd go for Hershey's. Over to Monty with his weekly Wormcast. Bring it on, young Monty.
Monty's Worm Facts. Earthworms can nearly bear freezing. Their metabolism slows down with falling temperatures, and they hibernate near freezing temperatures.
Thank you so much. It's nice to be here on my own. I get no grief, I get no stick, I get nobody taking the mickey out of me. So great to have you with us. If you want to subscribe, please go to iTunes, and if you get a chance to give us a review, we'll be eternally grateful. And I must just let you know that Greet's middle-aged blog says that we have put to bed a mystery. He says that wassailing on Wikipedia is wrong. They say that it's about going carol singing round to other people's houses, but we all know it's not. It's about banging on those apple trees and making sure they fruit. So go to Greet's blog and find out more. It's at szarka.typepad.com. So thank you, Greet. And he gives our podcast a Milka, so I hope you will too. Bye for now, from me.